I'm here with Keith Salisbury. He is the Senior Director for Strategy for Anduril, and he's currently working on Golden Dome, and before that he was with Connected Warfare. What is Golden Dome?
So Golden Dome is evolving fast. It's our nation's effort to build some form of a air and missile defense shield to protect the United States from our adversaries going forward.
Got it. So that is your focus at Anduril, and I want to start kind of at the top. We've talked a lot today about how government and defense organizations haven't typically been on the forefront of innovation. Why is that, and what impact can that have?
I think there's a couple of dimensions to that. I think we got really good at building incredibly capable, exquisite systems, and the more and more capability we drove into those systems, the more and more complex they became, and the longer it took and the more difficult it was for us to manufacture them. Similarly, from an acquisition perspective, in the era of the $500 hammer, we over-rotated on accountability versus speed to outcomes. So we ended up with rule books to drive that accountability. And when you're the largest organization in the world, DoD is Fortune 1, and you do this at scale over time, and you have that rule book, over time you end up with a lot of rules, and it gets really, really thick. And we've become beholden to that in our acquisition world as well as our budgeting and requirements world, and over time that's served to slow us down a fair amount.
And what is Anduril doing to help change all of that? You guys came in some ways with an entirely different business model than most companies providing technology to the federal government.
So I think the first thing is to remember all those rules that might have ended up in that rule book, they all ended up there for good reason. So you need to deeply understand the challenges that created the conditions that have caused us to move at this glacial pace. You need to understand it as opposed to just outright dismissing it and bashing it. The thing that has made Anduril different is we wanted to break from the cost plus fixed fee construct, right, which is what allowed America to harness our entire commercial industrial base in order to deliver the outcome that it did in World War II. If you haven't read Freedom's Forge, every American needs to read that. But Anduril's mindset was to break from that cost plus construct and really invest our own money, our investors' money, to build a capability that is so differentiated in such a powerful way on the most pressing needs within our military, that we drive that innovation and bring that product to bear for defense so they can rapidly acquire and integrate it into the force.
Yeah, and I think lots of companies have watched what you have done, and it's been kind of an inspiration for a lot of the innovation that we continue to see.
Hey, we're betting on ourselves every day, and I think that appeals to most Americans.
Yeah, for sure. Can you talk about the partnership that Anduril has with Oracle and how together we're driving further innovation?
I think the first thing to remember, all these disruptive capabilities that we're starting to see for the warfighter in the form of autonomous systems at the edge, they're possible because the massive amounts of data and compute processing that the cloud made real to the world. That's what's fueled this innovation that's allowing all these autonomous systems to evolve as quickly as they have. At Anduril, we build those autonomous systems. They operate at the tactical edge. So we need to be really good in a software-first way and an edge-first way, but all of the intelligence and data that we're driving into the edge needs to pull back to the strategic level of war, where the warfighter at a senior level is relying on robust cloud infrastructure. We need to make that seamless in a global way in every combatant command, and the partnership with Oracle is what we lean on in order to make that reality.
And Anduril is partnering with Oracle on the defense ecosystem as well, the partnership that was announced today. And how do you foresee that having an impact on the industry?
I think it's really exciting, and when I watched the presentation, I hearkened back to some experiences we had in our early days. We had a capability we wanted to integrate into a traditional system within our military, but to integrate into that system, we had to pay more than $1 million to the prime, and then allow them to integrate our technology into that system. We couldn't do it. They had to do it.
Right.
18 months goes by, we're still not integrated, and we're at $1 million. So that's when Anduril decided there's got to be a different route to market. So in partnership, what we're really trying to inspire is a open way for innovators of all shapes and sizes to easily integrate their capabilities into, say, the distributed mesh architecture that's fueling JADC2 across the military, making that very easy for technology companies to integrate to and do that in places like Oracle's developer ecosystem. I think earlier today you presented, hey, a technology company shows up there, you'll facilitate interaction with them with a Palantir developer team to integrate into Palantir technologies in your developer ecosystem. You can't go to a combatant command today where you're not going to find Maven Smart System running. Similarly, being able to integrate into the CDAO's Edge data mesh is a way to make your capability readily accessible for the warfighter. I think those two things that Oracle's fueling in its developer ecosystem just accelerate this pace of small technology companies to get their capability available to our military.
We started this conversation talking about some of the historical slowness in the defense industry, specifically with the government. When you look at the future of government and defense, how do you feel that is changing? Are you optimistic about the speed of change?
I'm super optimistic, and I'll share two vignettes. One, let's look to the past. You know, we poke at some of the challenges of our traditional defense enterprise, but let's not forget the Aegis weapon system was fielded multiple decades ago. That is a classic example of machine-to-machine coordination engaging to defend our carrier strike groups. An incoming threat is detected by sensors that are communicating directly with effectors, and they're engaging that threat with no human intervention. That's amazing technology of autonomous systems. It was fielded multiple decades ago. Now, if you look forward, I think the disruption we've seen of autonomous systems, whether that's in Ukraine, whether that's what's going on right now between Iran and Israel, I think it is widely recognized we can no longer pay lip service to moving fast. We need to be poised at every level to move fast, delivering capability and evolving that capability as the threat changes.
Keith, thank you so much for joining us.